Hey folks, this is Man once again, and welcome back to another video. And I know the X-Files 6-episode event is coming around the corner. I'm not really too interested in it. Number one, because a lot of things have come back from the past and repackaged into a new, brighter ribbon I personally have not liked. And second off, have you seen X-Files I Want to Believe? Which I'll talk about after this. So I'm not interested in checking that out. But I am a big X-Files fan. I have all 9 seasons on DVD back here. People like, you don't do episode reviews. Can you imagine how long that would take? Even if I did like a top 10, I would have to rewatch the episodes again, and that many episodes per each season, 9 seasons. It's a lot of work. I just don't have the time to do that. But I can review the movies. Now, I will say right off the bat, I can think of some episodes I do enjoy from the series. There are two sets of episodes. There's the mythology, which is the ongoing storyline involving the UFOs, aliens, government conspiracies, Mulder's sister being abducted, Scully having been abducted, Mulder's father being shot and killed. You have the cigarette smoking man, Alex Krycek. You have a lot of characters. X, played by Stephen Williams. And then you had the standalone episodes. If you wonder why I keep looking like this, it's because that's where the camera screen is. So I have to make sure everything's still focused and still working. I was more a fan of the standalone episodes, but I still liked the mythology, but the standalone ones are my favorites. Home, that's the one where it was a take on Chainsaw Massacre / Hills of Eyes. You have the woman under the bed who, I'm not going to give it away, just check that episode out, Home. Other ones being Ice, sort of their take on John Carpenter's The Thing. Squeeze and its sequel Tombs. Jose Chun's from Outer Space. War of the Cofrages, probably said that wrong. Sizdy, which I think I said that wrong too. Fire. Let's see, there's one on the top of my head. Ex-Cops, where they were on the TV show Cops. A lot of good episodes. I even liked the later seasons because I really enjoyed Robert Patrick as Agent Doggy. Really liked him, really liked his character. So I didn't give those later seasons a chance when they first came out, but when I bought the DVDs to complete the set, I actually enjoyed it. And Doggy, my favorite episode involving him is when they're in the subway tunnel. There's like this green stuff on that when a certain mixture, electrical sparks will fuck them up. And Agent Scully is talking through him through microphone and trying to get Agent Doggett out of there. I thought that was a good one. And there's some other pretty good episodes. Believe me, if I had all the time in the world, I would love to do that, but it's just, that would take weeks. Now, all that led to this, Fight the Future, the 1998 film, the big feature film, which I believe took place between seasons 5 and 6. I believe that's the case. 5 or 6 or 6 and 7. I believe it was 5 and 6. Could be wrong though. And I enjoy all the seasons, I'll be honest. And there was a part of me when it came out in 1998, it's okay, it's part of the mythology. I'm more a fan of standalone, which is ironic considering the next movie was a standalone and it was a horrendous piece of shit. And the better X-Files movie is the mythology X-Files movie. And I remember seeing this in the theater in 1998. Rob Bowman directed it, and the guy, it's really honestly the only good film he's directed. Reign of Fire wasn't all that. Elektra sucked ass. So to me, this is the only good film he's directed. And even the trailers were really cool to watch. You take all your fears and multiply it by X. And that piece of music, I forget what it's called, but da 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 da. No, no. I think it was from the Romeo and Juliet, the Leonardo DiCaprio film soundtrack. I believe it's on that soundtrack. And if you're wondering, this Blu-ray, this was given to me a while ago as a really nice gift, years ago. And it has the theatrical and the extended cut. The extended cut has just a couple things, couple scenes, not too much. Has a new commentary track with Rob Bowman, Chris Carter, Frank Spotnitz, and Daniel Sackheim. The original 1999 audio commentary by Rob Bowman, Chris Carter. You have alternate beasting scene, Blackwood, the making of the X-Files Fight the Future featurette, a visual effects featurette, a scoring featurette, an original 1998 making of featurette. There's not much difference between the two, because even the new making of, I don't remember having new interviews with David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson, because I think this came out when Fight the Future came out in 2008, so they re-released this, put a couple new features for that. And I always thought this cover was lame. I liked the cover that was on the VHS tape, where it had Mulder and Scully right here. It was all in red, and I think you had this maybe tinier at the bottom. I just like the red motif, and Mulder and Scully's faces right there on top, the original VHS cover. But even the trailers got me pumped up for it. And it was a summer movie, summer event. And unfortunately, when the film came out, it didn't do too well, because I think it cost between $40 and $60 million, and then another 20-25 million in marketing. And it only made about 80 million in the US, so it didn't really do as well as maybe they hoped. Maybe they hoped it would be like a $100 million blockbuster, because X-Files was tremendously huge at the time. But I don't know, maybe people thought, well, I could watch this on TV. You know, I'm in the middle of the show, it's on TV. Do I really want to go to the theater? But it's not that often where you get a movie based on a TV show, and the TV show is still going on at that time. But you think about all the movies made from TV shows, it's usually from many years ago, from Starsky and Hutch, 21 Jump Street, The A-Team, Charlie's Angels, and so forth. But this is one of those few ones. I can't, I'm sure someone can think of another one, but I can't. And honestly, a movie made based on a TV show, I think this is one of the best ones. Sorry about that. Like I said, I think this is definitely the good X-Files film. Because Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny, I like those two in the roles as Scully and Mulder. It definitely had a good scope to it. They used the budget well. I never got bored with it. I know some people got bored, but I never did. It did make things a bit more little less convoluted, because the mythology was getting convoluted, and here it actually gave you sort of clean cut, this is what's going on. And of course, all my reviews always give spoilers, so it's not a big surprise. But you have Marlon Landau, who plays his character who knew Mulder's father, who tells him pretty much that it's all up leading up to this plague that they want to do. And you have these bees and this pollen and the black oil, which Prometheus fucking stole from this show. The black oil, that's alien form. I mean, absolutely 100% stolen from X-Files. Which is the alien's blood. But it can also, when it infects you, takes you over, and the government who was conspiring with the aliens thought that was just going to be a slave race, but really it was going to be repopulation, take us over, and then you're born with it, just not chestburster style, but full grown coming out of you, with some really good effects by Alec Gillies and Tom Woodruff Jr. I think even KMB had a hand in some stuff as well. Has a great score by Mark Snow, and he even has a good soundtrack. I always remember songs like the Foo Fighters, Walking After You, Don't Fall on Me. And also Filter had a song, One is the loneliest number A one is the loneliest number you. I'm not gonna sing the whole song and butcher it, but I always enjoyed the soundtrack. I thought Mark Snow did a great job on the score. Even pieces of the score I remember hearing in trailers for films like X-Men, like the first X-Men movie. I remember some of the music in that trailer is from this movie. And they use their budget very well. I mean, right from the beginning, where it takes place thousands of years BC, and they use sets very well. Meaning they really built a lot of stuff. It's not like tons of CGI work and such. They really built a lot of practical stuff. Like these cavemen fighting these aliens. Aliens done practical effects, and it kills one caveman, but the caveman's able to kill one alien, and then its blood, the black robe, goes over the caveman, he screams. And it's present day, and a kid falls through, and I think that kid is, God, I know that kid's familiar. I have to look him up. I know he was on this TV show, I believe it was called American Gothic, and Lucius Black? Was that what it was? Lucas. I should have looked this up before. But I swear it was like Lucas Black or something like that. I can't remember 100%. But this little kid falls through the ground and finds the skull. Yeah, it is Lucas Black, who is in, of course, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and had a small part in Fast and Furious 7. He's the kid who falls down the hole and finds the skull. Is like, no way, butt wipe, this is mine, to the kids above. And this black oil takes over him. And then this military, government scientists come in, and they take over. And then it cuts to, there's a bomb threat in a building, and Mulder has dragged Scully over to another building on a hunch. And these two really have great back and forth. They always did on the series. And they worked very well together. Great scene. Some fun humor between each other. Dave Duchovny has a fun moment where he's like, no, this is not me scared. See, if I'm scared, I'll do this face. Which is pretty much the same face he was doing before. So he kind of pokes a little bit of fun at himself. And then Scully tries to open the door. Oh, it's locked. And Mulder gets a little bit weirded out. He's like, I saw that face. You didn't see that face. Oh, I saw that face. And Mulder decides to get some stuff from the vending machine. And it doesn't work. And that's where he finds that there's a bomb. The bomb is in there right behind the vending machine. And Gillian Anderson always played this character with a good, strong authority, but not bitchy. Like, she tells this guy to pick up a phone. He's like, don't think. Just pick up the phone and make it happen. And I will be honest, I always liked her with this color, sort of the reddish, darker color. Her being blonde is just weird, which I know she is nowadays, but just a weird look to her. I prefer the way she looks hair color-wise in this. That's just a personal preference. And actually, in that scene, you get two noticeable people. Jason Baggy, I probably said his last name wrong, who is actually a close buddy to Dave Duchovny. He's there as an FBI agent. He doesn't have any lines, but he's the lead guy in Monkey Shines. And he's stating that he's a really good friend with Dave Duchovny. That's how he got in there. And then also Terry O'Quinn, which is funny because he was also in the TV show Millennium. And then in the season 7, Millennium, you find out, is in the same realm as this. So I found it weird that Terry O'Quinn, he's in both, but he's playing different, I believe he's playing different characters. But yeah, Terry O'Quinn says he'll do it. And of course, Terry O'Quinn was in The Stepfather and many other stuff. And he says, yeah, he'll disarm the bomb. But then when they leave, it cuts back. Terry O'Quinn isn't doing anything. He's just sitting there. And you're like, what the fuck? Why is he just sitting there? He just lets himself get blown up. Now, the explosion is very nicely done. The way it's done, it would never be done today. People think too close to home. I mean, even at that point, people thought it'd be too close to the Oklahoma City bombing. especially nowadays after 9/11, all sorts of stuff. But it was very well done. The Mulder story in the car, and the back of the car, the explosion picks the car up and drags them, smash into another vehicle. And unfortunately, they get blamed. Even though, truthfully, Mulder saved lives. They were in the wrong building. He was in the right building. If he didn't see that there was a bomb there, all those people that they didn't get out of there would have been dead. So Mulder saved lives. He was a hero. And of course they blame his ass, and they want him to split apart. So that's where you get that sort of the heroes who did the right thing, saved lives, and you still get fucked over. So it makes you root for them even more. And Dave Duchovny, he's always a dry guy. He always gives a dry performance, but in a good way. That's sort of his. I think he has a bit of a. I would say, has a little bit of presence to him. Like he really spit out that intellectual dialogue, but he can also have a sense of humor. Like when he's getting drunk and this woman keeps asking him, about his job, and he tells it all. He's like, "It's gonna be the shit storm of all time." And then pretty much she tells him, "Oh, I think you've had enough to drink," gets him out. And as she goes out back to go to the bathroom, as she pisses in front of an Independence Day poster. I think that was because Chris Carter was not a fan of Independence Day, or maybe that was just a fun take on a popular movie because they're two totally different films. I don't know what the whole deal was. And pretty much that's where he meets Martin Landau, who tells him about this plague and the secret Armageddon. Let's see. Jeffrey DeMunn, he's another guy who's been in quite a few stuff. If you look him up, he was in the original The Hitcher. He was in The Blob from 1988 as the sheriff. He was in the Walking Dead TV show for a while. And he's in this as a scientist who he's looking at one of the aliens that they're sort of testing on, and one of the victims gave birth. He's like, "So much for little green men," and he gets his ass killed. It does try to go as far as it can with the PG-13 rating as well. Some intense violence and gore. They really try to push it as much as they could. Maybe some of those little blood you see is the TMB guys. Again, the alien work I like from Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. It's too bad they didn't bring any of that fucking quality to Harbinger down, their piece of shit movie that they fucking directed like a piece of shit, wrote like a piece of shit, and did effects like a piece of shit. That's why I call it a piece of shit, because it's a fucking piece of shit, unlike this movie. Sorry. I'm not sorry, it is a piece of shit, unlike this movie. Granted, this had a bigger budget, but it has a lot more stuff going on too. That's why it has a bigger budget. But pretty much we find out about the Syndicate, the bad guys, like the cigarette smoking man. You have Armin Mueller-Stahl. If you look him up, he's been in quite a few stuff. The guy, I forget his name, but I know his character's name is the Well-Manicured Man. And they figure out that it's not really about controlling them, it's about repopulation. And the reason they've been working with the aliens is try to secretly develop a vaccine for this upcoming plague. And people say it's not wall-to-wall action, but the X-Files was never about that. But it's like, okay, if you're not going to give me that, then give me that sense of either atmosphere or back and forth between the two leads, which this does have. It has a great-looking scope to it. And it has a sort of mysterious / adventure quality to it as well. Like when they go back to the place that the kid had fell in at the beginning, one thing leads to another, they find that place. They find that there's this fresh grass and this brand new playground. And they find these kids who have brand new bikes and try and figure out what's going on, which leads them to this search for these tanker trucks. And like that scene there is where you really hear some of the epic score from Mark Snow and how he took his score from the X-Files and really amped it up to be movie quality. Now they're chasing these tanker trucks, and these tanker trucks are on this train, and they're searching, and they come across, again, this secret cornfield in the middle of nowhere with these two domes shining brightly in the distance. Just a really cool looking shot of that reveal. You're like, what the hell is going on here? But that's the good way of doing it. Okay, what's going on? Now you're pulling me in. You're wondering, okay, what's going to happen next? This is me when I first saw the film, what I was thinking. And the great shot that you see also in the trailers where they're walking in, there's all these vents and they hear something. Is that machinery? Are these vents open? Mulder's like, run! And it's actually shitloads and shitloads of bees. And then they get chased by helicopters. They run through the cornfields. And so not only do you have a big scope, you see that the budget's been used well. It's a good-looking movie. Who did the cinematography for this? DP Ward Russell did a really good job with this film. It's a great-looking movie. Even watch this on Blu-ray. It's a great-looking film. And at the same time, you still have a good rapport between these two, where Scully, pretty much, she wants to quit. And Mulder's like, no, you can't do that. You know, you kept me honest. And I don't know if I want to do this alone, or even if I can do this alone. And that was sort of the thing also with this. For many, many years, there was no sex between the two. It was sort of the moonlighting thing, where it was much more interesting before they got together. And so they lengthened that up much longer, and that was a good thing. So like they almost have a close kiss, which I think is what the alternate bee sting scene is that they do kiss, and then she gets bit by a bee. Here it's an almost, and she gets bit by a bee. Of course, the bees have a bit of that alien virus in there, which even in itself is a cool idea, an alien virus. It's not, I'm not saying it's original, but it's not the normal thing of a virus. Usually it's spaceships blowing up and things of that nature. I mean, real enough, in the same year you had films like The Faculty, and I liked The Faculty. I reviewed The Faculty, still up on my channel. But if I had to pick between the two, I would say I like this film much more. Again, because I'm a big fan of the TV show. I'm a big fan of these characters, which I know you're like, well, why aren't you interested in the show then? I'm like, again, have you seen X-Files? I want to believe. That's why. Which I'll get into that piece of shit. She gets sick, and then pretty much it's a Mulder to the rescue, which I like. And you know, maybe part of me is like, well, you know, it sucks because they're not together throughout the entire film, although they're together more than they are in the next fucking movie. But I like that. You know, Mulder ultimately is the lead of the two, and the fact that he gets to be the hero in the first movie, I think that's a good choice. And we have appearances from like the Lone Gunman, Mitch Pileggi, or Pileggi, I never know how to pronounce his last name. As Skinner. We have appearances from them. He's able to get the vaccine from the Well-Manicured Man, and get a little bit of dialogue with that. There's a car bomb, so Well-Manicured Man is dead. And this information leads Mulder up to Antarctica, where he falls through some snow, and he's inside a spaceship. And again, you get some really cool effects. Part of me is like, oh, there's a lot of practical sets in here as well. And even if it's not, some really cool effects. Again, great score, especially in this sequence with Mark Snow. He's all these chambers with people in there, and you get an idea that, you know, aliens are growing inside them. He's able to find Scully and inject the vaccine. This is after you have a sequence where he's trying to get down, he's sliding all the way down. Oh shit, hanging off, so we're doing a cliffhanger moment. And pretty much the escape. And yeah, it's not fisticuffs, firefights, explosions, but it's still a thrilling finale. Mulder and Scully escaping from inside a spaceship, everything collapsing. Scully is knocked out so she can barely see anything, but Mulder is seeing, you know, these aliens busting out of the tubes and trying to get Scully out of there, and, you know, grabbing on his leg and trying to get it further in. Trying to get through. Mulder turns around and the alien's about ready to jump on him, but then some hot steam and such comes up, blocks them. They're running as all the ice is being demolished into the pit of hell, it seems like. and they're about ready to make it, then they fall down, then they get risen up and slide down, which is the spaceship. And Mulder sees it full center, but of course Scully's a bit knocked out, so she can't see it. Because that's sort of the thing, is that Mulder's the believer, and you still gotta make Scully somewhat of a skeptic. So I thought that was the right way of doing it without screwing everything up. And also at the end, a nice sort of reversal where Mulder, I like this because it shows that he's not selfish. He's like, no, you should stay away from me. You almost died. I'm not going to let you die because it's some hollow cause of mine. As that reversal, and then Scully goes, hey, wait a minute, I'm not going to give up. Because if I do, they win. And that's what makes this relationship work so well with the both of them. And plus, they're two great actors, David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. I think they play these roles very, very well. And ultimately, you find out that the previous season, at the finale, the X-Files were closed. Well, now by this, the X-Files have been reopened, so we can get to the next season. I really don't have many problems with it. I really do not. I love the two leads. Love them from the TV show to here. I thought it was a very satisfying first film. I wish we could have gotten a film like every 2 years, or like so many other franchises. Instead, you had to wait 10 years for another movie, and it turned out to be a horrendous piece of shit. Great score by Mark Snow, some really cool songs in the soundtrack by Filter and Foo Fighters and so forth. The special effects, I think, are very well handled. You have some practical creature effects of the aliens by Alec Gillis Woodward Jr., but you also have some wonderful looking practical sets. It definitely has a scope to it. Like when they're in the desert, you see the car going off into the desert, Mulder and Scully, in this wide scope as they're searching for these tanker trucks, and the Mark Snow scores playing in the background. It stuck to the roots of what the X-Files were, but at the same time, it definitely amped it up. I mean, the big explosion of the building, and them being inside a spaceship and trying to escape from it, and all this stuff, and chaos going around them, and them running and almost making it, then almost falling to their death, and then being risen up from and sliding down from the spaceship. You still have that spectacle, which makes it big screen worthy, but at the same time, it's not so over the top. You're like, okay, is this X-Files or is this X-Men? Or is this X-Files or X-Men? And it doesn't do that case. So I thought it had a balance I had to keep, but I thought it did it very, very well. Even considering that I like the mythology, but I'm more a fan of standalone. But this worked well, and I think if you were not too knowledgeable with the X-Files, you could still follow this pretty damn decently. So, honestly, I don't have many problems with this film. I think it's a very well done movie. And watch this again. Had a good time seeing this in the theater back in 1998. And it's still a worthy film. It is the good X-Files film. And a good supporting cast. Not only from people from the show, but getting Martin Landau in there, and Armin Mueller-Stahl in there, Jeffrey DeMunn in there, and so forth. It's a very solid movie. Again, I can't think of many problems with it. But that's X-Files, Fight the Future. Thanks for watching. Take care. And now I gotta talk about the next movie. Fuck.